Good morning, Saints. How are we all this morning? Amen. Amen. Just gonna share my screen with you. Okay, so we're on the final leg of our introduction to herbs. Just click OK. Good. Okay, sorry, just sorting out some technicalities here. Okay, so we're on the final leg of our introduction to herbs and their uses. And I'm going to carry on from where we left off the day before yesterday, talking about dosage of herbs, because we worked out that certain herbs and etc. have different benefits and they have different effects on the body. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through the 13 systems of the body. I'm going to go through the dosage of herbs, and also because in order to use herbs, what is the substance that we use to get the herbs into our body? Water. Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit about water and its powerful effects, etc. So before we go any further, let's have a quick word of prayer. Eyes closed, heads bowed. Father God in heaven, I thank you for the ability, the Father, that you've given me to wake up this morning. I thank you that our brothers and sisters may come together in fellowship, their Father, individually and collectively. As we go throughout this talk this morning, I pray that you may guide the directions of this talk, their Father, and may it reach those that need to hear it. And once we know better, that we do better. So the Father, go before us. I ask these mercies in your name. Amen. So just a little recap on some of the areas that we covered during the week. We looked at creation and the original diet, and we looked at God's provision for us as children of God. And we know that he gave us man's first diet, which was? Exactly. And we know that, that these foods are nutritious. They provide us with medicine, and we know that they give us strength and vitality. What is it that Spirit of Prophecy tells us that we have within us? And if we deplete it, the body has to pull it from somewhere else, therefore reducing its total resource. It's something called vital force. Okay? Okay. So imagine this. In this perfect world, a sinless world, there's no disease. Every plant was specifically designed to sustain and nourish the body and provide complete health. Imagine a body fueled by pure, untainted foods, free from pollutants and genetic alterations that we face today. Herbs in their natural state that had powerful, restorative, and sustaining properties. The role of the tree of life, Genesis 2:9 describes, and out of the ground God made, and out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge and good and evil. The tree of life was a physical manifestation of God's provision, offering eternal life. Its fruit symbolizes sustenance that transcends mere physical nourishment. What was the impact of sin on the appetite? The first act of appetite was when humanity began to fall. Genesis 3:6 recounts Eve's choice. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was pleasant to the eyes and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Appetite led to disobedience, and disobedience brought sin into the world. So the consequences on our health and nature was that thorns and thistles emerged, Genesis 3, verse 18. The body, once perfectly sustained, became susceptible to disease, decay, and death. Yet even in judgment, God's mercy provided herbs and plants to help sustain a fallen world. We have herbs for healing. The biblical references for healing herbs. I'm going to go through some of them because it would be remiss of me to go through a health talk without talking about biblical herbs. So I'm going to go demonstrate some of the herbs in the Bible and their uses and their properties. So, biblical references to herbs. Herbs and plants are frequently mentioned in the Bible as instruments of healing. Ezekiel 47 verse 12 tells us, and the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof should be for medicine. So if you look at it like this, one tree, two uses. The fruit for meat, the leaves for healing. Psalms 104, we looked at this earlier on. He causeth the grass to grow. He causeth the grass to grow. Sorry, leave that there for the time being. And for the herbs for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. Proverbs 27 speaks of herbs as part of the sustaining life and prosperity. There are examples of healing herbs. Aloe. John 19:39 describes its use in burial, but it's also valued for its soothing and anti-inflammatory properties. I was pleased yesterday when a lady came yesterday and she said that her son had taken a drink from the tap, but instead of pressing the cold water, he pressed the hot water and scalded his lip. And she was asking what to do. And I saw in her hand and in her bag, she had aloes, which we know now is a cooling, anti-inflammatory, it has anti-inflammatory properties. So she used that on him and she cooled it down with water and he was back out playing again, as children do. Hyssop. What do we know about hyssop?
The Bible, the doorpost.
In the doorpost, yeah. It signifies purifying, cleansing, okay? And in many cultures as well, they use it as part of a, you call it purifying ritual. But hyssop is explained in Exodus 12:22 and in Psalms 51:7, and it highlights the symbolic and the physical cleansing properties. The most common one that we all know, frankincense and myrrh. This is mentioned in Matthew 2 verse 11. It came as a gift to Christ, the child, and it has both medicinal and aromatic properties, spiritual and physical healing. Herbs not only serve for physical healing, but also symbolize spiritual restoration. When used with gratitude and faith, they connect to humanity with God's sustaining power. What is your line of thought with regards to diet and spiritual health? Does your diet, or could your diet, I'm hearing yes already because someone's reading my mind, affect your spiritual health? From this side, tell me one aspect of how diet can affect your spiritual health. Anybody, doesn't matter who.
Why you perceive your mind.
Affects your mind. And from this side?
The way you perceive them.
The way it perceives.
Perceive things.
Right, yes. So when you have, my sister? Beautiful. Exactly.
It affects the blood. And if you're getting clogged up blood going through your brain.
Exactly.
All the fat and the grease and the active flesh and all kinds of things in it, it's going to affect your mind. It affects your spiritual nature.
It does, definitely. And your judgment. We know that you can't ask, my brother?
People say gluten is sin.
Gluten is sin. Right, so there you have it. Gluten is sin. So these things affect the way that the body naturally functions, therefore causing disharmony in the system. And we know that God does all things in order and in a methodical way and in harmony. Okay. And when we go against that, it's problematic. Okay.
Can I just add one thing?
Of course.
When there's a lot of fat in the diet that goes in, it goes and forms layers around the cells of the brain.
Yes.
And the communication between the cells kind of gets disrupted. So as the fat keeps adding,
erratic.
Communication can even stop between themselves.
Yes.
So the function of the body and more importantly, the decisions that you can make
can be flawed.
Can be challenging. That is
Definitely.
why diet is a salvation issue.
Diet is a salvation issue, definitely. Your food can put you in a position where you can't make correct decisions. I would never ask a drunk, or as we call them, a rummed, for directions, okay? Another thing is, how do you feel after you've been to an all-you-can-eat buffet? If you're hungry, they say you should never go shopping when you are hungry, because the decisions that you make are to satisfy your state right now and not for later on. Okay, so that alone can have a distressing effect on your system. And like my brother said, it can cause atherosclerosis, which is the lining of the artery, can become clogged. And then we have something called elasticity resistance. So when the blood is flowing through the artery, if the artery is supposed to be like this, a circle, and you have a lining around the artery, then that means that that diameter is slightly reduced. What does that do to the pressure in the system? Raises it. And what does that do to the elasticity of the artery? Solid, it cannot move. It's difficult to move. What does that do if your arteries are hardened because of calcium and fats, etc.? What does that do to the other organs in the system? It puts pressure on them. When one organ is affected, the whole body. Okay? Okay. So, practical lessons for today. Let me just finish this one. Revelation and the tree of life. Revelation 22 introduces us to the tree of life. Oh no. This is something I'm just covering leading up to today. So Revelation 22 introduced us to the tree of life, and it told us that in the midst of it and on either side of the river was the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits. One tree, 12 fruits. I know that through grafting and through experiments, China and the US, they have these experiments where they're trying to graft as many plants as they can to one tree to make it. And in the back of my mind, I think to myself, I wonder if they're trying to recreate something. But that's just me. 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruits, how often? Every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. This eternal source of healing signifies the restoration of humanity to God's original design. When we're doing Bible studies, Elder, when we're doing Bible studies, do you use something called first mention? If you want to find out the beginning of something, you go to when it was first mentioned in the Bible. So I would strongly suggest that when it comes to diet, we go to the first mention of diet, which God has advised or strongly suggested. He's your creator. He created you, and he knows what foods are good for you. And not only that, he has categorized the foods. The brother or the sister that is always hot, she can use the same quantity of foods from a different herb that will cool them down. The brother and the sister that is cold, there are herbs that have the same properties that will warm them up, but they don't miss out on anything, properties, compounds, and etc. Practical lessons for today. Eating for health and honor. 1 Corinthians 10:31. We're reminded that wherefore you eat, or drink, or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God. The foods we choose today can honor God and promote our well-being. Returning to the whole natural foods, fruits, vegetables, and herbs helps to align us with God's principles of health. Herbs in modern contexts. Many modern medicines are derived from herbs, yet these plants are best used in their natural state. You have an orange or a lemon and you want vitamin C, eat the whole orange or the whole lemon. You'll go for, if you go for the extract, or remember what the word I use, when you take something out, you isolate it and you use it in a high dosage, it doesn't have the same effect, okay? So examples of this is ginger for digestion, turmeric for inflammation. Somebody mentioned to me about turmeric the other day and they said, how much should I take, brother? And I said, well, turmeric, how much do you take presently? I take a capsule or 2. So I thought, okay, so that's about 5-10 mils turmeric every day. Is that really going to do anything for you? Is that a therapeutic dose? It's a nice cosmetic dose. I take turmeric every day and I feel so good for it. But if you want inflammation to be dealt with, a level tablespoon. And the first thing that she done was, oh, you can't. But therapeutic dose, because I know that some people have an issue with taking black pepper with it. There are, I think it's aloe that you can use with it to take it through the system. But the standard play is to take black pepper with the turmeric because it acts as a driving mechanism, okay? If you cook black pepper or heat black pepper up, it is a problem, okay, because it becomes a carcinogen, all right? But again, I leave that to the individual because very little of the turmeric is absorbed. You call it when you don't have a driver behind it. Garlic. So we use garlic for immunity. We know because of the allicin, and we know that when we break it open and we leave it to sit, it produces us with certain foods. So who is the steward of your body? Who recommends or who is responsible for what goes in, how often it goes in, and the quality of what goes in? Yourself. So you cannot blame someone else for what you do or what you eat. From you're old enough to make the decision, you make the decision for health or unhealth. When we fail to look after ourselves, we put a burden on those around us. It's really funny, that statement, just as I'm thinking saying it. When we have one organ that is damaged through ill health, the whole body suffers. When one member of your family is damaged or ill, the whole family suffers. Unless they turn their back and leave you to your own, okay? But we don't operate like that. Okay, so that's my closing. Dosage. The general guideline for the dosage of herbs. So whenever we're using herbs, if you're not sure about the herbs, you start with a low dose, especially when trying new herbs, because someone else has tried it and said, it's good, it works. For you, you start with a small dose and then you begin to increase the dose so that you can gauge what your level of therapeutic amounts are. So your body will react and then you can gradually decrease or increase if you can tolerate it. Okay, standardized doses. When you buy herbs or you buy herbal medicines or supplements in the shops, I explained to you about what is actually in them, the anti-caking, the fillers and the binders, etc., etc. But when you're following standardized doses, those doses are made so that it doesn't cause any major change in your system. Because if they put those at their most potent and they gave them to you, people would abuse them, okay? So they give you very standardized doses that do very little for the system. So again, You should find out what the natural is and then use it and follow the guidelines for dosing. So standardized doses include capsules, teas, and tinctures. Tinctures, when you're using tinctures, about 1 to 3 ml, which is about 20 to 60 drops. We do see this on the bottles. It says take 28 to 40 drops of a particular herb over a period of days. But that can vary depending on the herbs that you're using. If you're using a very potent herb, then you're not going to be using 60 up to 60 drops. You're probably going to be using just a few drops in distilled water, which we're going to look at in a moment, and you're going to be using that to build up to the dosage that you can take. Capsules, generally 500 to 1,000 milligrams, 2 to 3 times a day, depending, again, on the herbs and the health goal. Teas. How many of you actually take capsules, herbal capsules? Yeah, and you follow the doses on the capsules. You take a bit more or less depending on how you feel it affects you. Teas, typically 1 to 2 teaspoons of the dried herb per cup of water, steeped for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, that is the standard dosage, but if you are like many of us, we'll put the tea herbs in a pot and let it steep probably overnight or for the best part of the day in cool or warm water. And in the morning, you'll top it up with hot water. And then that way your water has acted as a solvent and your tea is a nice, rich red or rich brown color, okay? And then some of us, we use the tea bags twice. And some of us, again, after we've used the tea bag, we eat the herbs. Some of us, again, take the herbs and we add them to our plant pots because the herbs get broken down and they stimulate the soil, and then basically our plants benefit. So there are so many uses for herbs. You need never throw away your herbs or your waste herbs. When you're drinking your teas, you're going to be drinking your teas 1 to 3 times a day. Drinking a herbal tea once a day, it's okay. But in order to get any benefit from it, 1 to 3 times a day. If you have an issue with drinking distilled water, what I would say to you is to structure your water. Put a tea bag in your distilled water. Distilled water is called hungry water. It pours out, you drink, you benefit. No problem with distilled water. Okay, monitoring your side effects. So herbal supplements can interact with medications or cause side effects. So, made a list of contraindications. Contraindications is basically herbs that have mild side effects or have indications of an alternative reaction that may be favorable or not. So lavender, and it's called Lavandula agastifolia. Lavender is generally safe for most people. However, some individuals might be allergic to it. Always do a patch test when using lavender essential oils topically. Although it's natural, you always do a patch test. And normally you would do a patch test on a sensitive area of a soft area of your skin. And you would put just a little bit on that area. And then you would wait for about 15 minutes or so. And then you can see whether or not it has a reaction. Chamomile. Now I know that chamomile, these herbs or these weeds, as they call them, are very common, but because they're very common, a lot of us take it for granted. It's chamomile, what can it do to me? I've been using a chamomile oil, body oil, for about 5 or 6 days on the trot, and I feel like I am so chilled. My wife will tell you, and sometimes I can even do it in my sleep. I don't, but I could. But I noticed how the chamomile oil cools me, calms me right the way down. I put it on the soles of my feet, I put it around the back of my neck, and I put it on my temple and the rest of my body. So I'm literally mummified in oil. So I won't need embalming when I pass. So chamomile is generally safe, but you may have allergies to the plants, which is from the Aristaceae family. Ragweed. Ragweed is the most common herb that most people have issues with, and you may experience some reaction. Valerian. Does anybody know what valerian is good for? Or what people use valerian for? It's a very potent sedative, herbal sedative. Okay, so it may cause drowsiness. So you don't use it when you're driving. You don't use it when you're doing meticulous work like chopping. Okay, so so you avoid using it when you're taking sedative medicines. It's not recommended during pregnancy or for breastfeeding. So if you are breastfeeding or if you are doing anything specific, avoid using it. Ashwagandha is generally safe, but it may interact with medications for thyroid disorders. Okay? Ashwagandha, Withiana somnifera, may interfere with thyroid medication. People with autoimmune diseases or sensitivity to nightshades should use it cautiously. It doesn't say you shouldn't use it. You should use it cautiously. If you're using it cautiously, what do you do? Yeah, only one person knows what to do with it. So amen, sister. Use it cautiously. Passion flower. Passion flower is a beautiful flower. It's the flower is like something out of this world. And I love passion fruit as well. But passion flower, Passiflora incanata, is generally safe again, but it also may cause drowsiness. So avoid using it again with sedative medication. Rhodiola. Rhodiola is excellent for the skin. It supples your skin, it slows down the aging process, and it's generally safe to use. But it may interact with certain medications, like those for blood pressure, okay, or diabetes. So always consult a health provider if you're on medication. One of the plants that we looked at yesterday that we got confused with mint, lemon balm, okay? It's generally safe, but that too can cause drowsiness, and avoid using it with sedative medication. Ginkgo biloba is a very good brain and blood moving herb, okay? If you have bad memory or you're always forgetting, ginkgo biloba. But that can interact with blood thinning medication. So use it with caution. And if you are on such medications, it would be recommended not to use it before surgery. Okay. Holy basil. So holy basil, again, is generally safe. It's called Ocimum sanctum, and it is generally safe to use, but that also may lower blood pressure, or sorry, blood sugar levels. So if you have diabetes and you're monitoring it, then you should monitor it even closer when you're using it. So what do? You use the ginkgo and you check your blood pressure and you see if there's any drop. Okay, so those are just a few contraindications. So you always monitor your side effects. They can interact with medication and they can also cause side effects in themselves. Always check for known herb-drug interactions. So if you are taking medication, look it up and see if there are any contraindications for them. Okay. Long. Using herbs. How long? The duration calculation. So for using herbs for particular chronic issues, many herbalists suggest using using herbs for 1 to 2 months for every year that you've experienced that whatever it is health problem that you've experienced. This helps to support the body through gradual shifts rather than expecting quick results. Many people use herbs and they use them just for a day or two. And they say, it doesn't work. I tried it. I've heard people here today talk over this week, speak about using herbs. And they said, I used it. This morning is no good. It's still the same. So you have to give it time. Like I said before, with the clock, you throw away the clock. Each individual's body reacts differently. As opposed to what I always say, ashwagandha, you have to use ashwagandha for at least 2 weeks before you start feeling the effects. Depending on the doses that you're taking, you monitor how you feel. You don't just jump in and start taking it. You watch what you're taking, how much you're taking, and then you monitor yourself and you see, oh, I'm feeling very energized. I like this feeling. Let me just cut back a little and maintain that dose. We all know how to check whether the system is saturated, don't we? For salt and for vitamin C. Do you remember? Okay, I'm going to check later on, so don't worry. Cycle off. Avoid prolonged use and take a break from certain herbs that allow the body to recalibrate. So I've spoken to some people sometimes about using Vitex cactus and wild yam and female hormone balancers. Now, many of them, you don't need to come off of them because they're safe to use and they won't build up in the system. But with some herbs that are stimulants, you will use them for a set period of time. Some people will use them for a couple of weeks, and they will use another herb of similar value or similar to that herb, and they will continue to use that. And then they will go back to that herb or find a third herb. So if you have 3 herbs which are similar, you can use those herbs and switch between them. So when you stop using one, you use the other, and when you stop using that, you go on to the third herb, and then so on. So that's called cycling on and cycling off. And you allow your body to basically recalibrate in between. Common cycling approaches. So you'll use for 5 days, rest for 2 days each week. For milder conditions, you'll use for 3 weeks and followed by a 1-week break. That's for chronic use. Do we know what chronic use is? Chronic is something that is long-standing. Acute is something that comes really quickly, takes you down, and then it's gone again. Chronic is something that is sustained over a period of time. Or an illness, I should say, sustained over a long period of time. So you monitor and adjust, you reassess every 1 to 2 months. If the symptoms improve, you can reduce the dose or switch to a maintenance dose. If symptoms persist, consult a healthcare provider to see if other treatments are needed, because there may be underlying issues that are creating a problem for that particular health challenge that you're experiencing. Listen to your body. Nature sings, nature speaks to you. Nature indicates to you the seasons. It indicates to you when it's ripe for picking. It indicates to you when don't eat me. In many instances, your body also talks to you. Many women know that when your hair ends are splitting, there's something going on with the reproductive system. You know that if your skin is dry, then you know that there's an issue there. So when you listen to your body will be your best friend. Okay, if a herb is causing adverse effects or isn't helping after a few months, it may not be the right fit. Using herbs effectively is a process of observing, adjusting, consulting with knowledgeable practitioners to find the best approach to your unique health needs. Consult a professional. A qualified herbalist, naturopath, or even a homeopathic person can provide personalized advice long-term. Some herbs like adaptogens, ashwagandha and rhodiola, they are very similar to each other. So some people use them interactively. They use them interchangeably. Thank you very much for that. So, and it's suitable for long-term use and helps the body to build resilience, while others, stimulating herbs, should be used short-term. Okay, so that ends that section there on herbs, which are used for, dosage, on my dosage. Okay, so we spoke the other day about flowers and plants which are edible. So I'm not going to go into too much details, but I'm just going to highlight these for you because some of you might not know that pansies, how many of you know what pansies are? Yeah, you see them in garden centers. They're the little ones that people use as border plants. You can eat those. I'm not saying to go and terrorize your next door neighbor. Oh, pansy. And then help yourself. But the petals, yes. You put the petals, you can use the petals on your salads. They're very beautiful. When you're preparing foods, some people prepare their foods really quickly. Me personally, I take forever. My wife will tell you. If I'm doing a fruit salad at home and I have a large bowl, take my time and I cut and I'm thinking about the colors. I'm looking at the colors and I'm kind of like trying to be at one with my food, because if I'm in a bad mood, I don't eat. If I'm stressed, I can't eat. But if I'm in a good mood and I want to eat, these colors, they have a stimulating, calming, or a very good effect on the body. So look differently at your foods, at the colors of your foods. This is why we don't eat junk foods. What are the colors of junk foods? Just think about fries, think about burgers and the buns and the dark brown, dead colors, yellow. So when you're looking at a rainbow salad or a melee of vegetables, or not vegetables, even vegetables or fruits in a bowl, very refreshing. Dandelion, cornflowers, carnations. Now you can look for these and you can see these. These are, when you see these flowers, they jump out at you. So you can look at them and you can see, oh, okay, can I use that? So carnation flowers. I don't know why carnation milk came to mind, because it's got nothing to do with it. But carnation flowers, cornflowers, dandelion, sunflowers, roses. Did you know you can eat roses? Mm-hmm. I hear someone over to my saying, yes, yes. Lilac and nasturtiums, or nasturtiums. I can't say that. Lips. Okay. Also, marigolds. Now, I used to grow the marigolds because what I do is collect them, and the seeds, I put them in a jar, and then come spring, it's just sprinkle them over the ground and let them grow. Violas, hibiscus, chives, lavender, chamomile, zucchini flowers. How many of you eat the zucchini flowers? How many of you eat the plant? One person. Good young man. You can eat the flowers if the plant actually flowers, aubergines. Yeah. And borage. Yesterday we looked at borage. And you can eat the flowers from borage. Again, we use these for decorative purposes on our salads and our vegetables. Echinacea, calendula, elderflower, and snapdragons. Okay, I've never tasted snapdragons before, but apparently they are very nutritious as well. Okay, so Bible herbs. Balm of Gilead. It's used as an ointment and it's the buds, but you have a window of opportunity to take those buds and to make the actual oil that they produce. And they could produce something called an aloe resin, which should be separated from the plant as soon as possible. And it's made into the appropriate solution or preparation. It's often used with hyssop as an ointment and applied on the skin topically. Hyssop, we spoke about hyssop. Hyssop is anti-fermentic and it's diaphoretic, meaning that it's good for worms and parasites, and it's a warming herb. It makes you sweat. It's also called an alterative, which can be used for many areas of the system. It's part of the mint family and it's used as an infusion. Okay, so you drink that tea where worms are found. It's very aromatic and very spicy. And the taste, we talked about the 5 tastes, it's pungent, spicy, and bitter. Hyssop. Myrrh. Okay. So, just move this out of the way. So, it's made from Commiphora miriam tree. Okay, so it's extracted by actually piercing the bark and then returning later to collect the nuggets of dried sap. So as the sap runs out, it dries, and then it turns into a thin red or yellow resin. True to myrrh's reputation as a funerary herb, these pieces are sometimes called tears. We use this for weak stomachs, fermentation, piles, ulcers, diphtheria, and it contains anti-inflammatory and it's analgesic, meaning that it's good for pain. It's been used throughout history, and it's in medicine. It's been used as medicine, it's been used as a perfume, and it's been used as a burnt incense. So when we look at Genesis 37:25, some Midianites who took away a young man who became a king, they traded myrrh. They were camel traders, and they took Joseph on their travels to another land. Myrrh again, traders, Genesis 37:25. It's used in religious ceremonies for purification of women. 6 months with the oil of myrrh and 6 months with sweet odors and with other things for purifying of the women. That's in Esther 2 verse 12. Hebrews used it to anoint the tabernacle. The Hebrews, sorry, used it to anoint the tabernacle and the ark and the altar and the sacred vessels. It's found a lot of respect because of the gift it was given to as Christ, as a gift to Christ as the baby. What are these? Who in the Bible made good use of figs?
Yeah, four.
Hezekiah. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many species of figs are there? It's a bit more than 6, probably more than 6. But do we know the different names for the figs? Turkey? Do you know, Elder, some of the names? Turkey is one of them. But I'm going to show you something here. In Isaiah 38:21, the prophet Isaiah instructed King Hezekiah to use a natural remedy for his illness. And these were figs. I don't know which one he used, but figs and their leaves are packed with nutrients and offer a variety of potential health benefits. They promote health in the digestive system, and they decrease your risk of heart disease, and they also help you to manage blood sugar levels. It's really good. They kill cancer cells. It's even better. You can make them into syrups and decoctions. So if you like jams, not Marmite.
Ginger jam, no cooking and no added sugar.
Okay. Oh, if you have a recipe, that's something to put on the site so that people can get that.
No added sugar.
Okay. Apart from the ones that are here, here is a list of other figs. There are quite a few varieties of them. I'm just going to quickly read out the names. Panache, Smith, Craven's Craving. Is that UAB? And Atrino and Batigia Green, Maltese Beauty, Exquisito, and this one says it's I258. Geno's Black, BFF, and Scorpo Black, and Borjatsoto Grease. Excuse me, I'm really sorry for those of you that know the correct words for that, so apologies. And Preto, and Cad Grease, and Black Madeira. I think I'd go more for the Black Madeira and the Maltese Beauty. They just sound better to eat. So these are a wide range of figs that we can get around the world. Frankincense. This is the tree. How beautiful does a frankincense tree look? So we use that for its oil and its resin. These are the resins, and this is the beautiful gold-colored oil. Okay. And you see how many of them grow, so they're not rare. So relief for pain and tension. They're a fragrant resin obtained from the trees, which is also called, or its Latin name is Boswellia genus. So it's used as a component in sacred incenses, and it was burned in the Temple of Jerusalem. It's anti-inflammatory and antiseptic, and it's used for treating arthritis and digestive issues, and also respiratory conditions. It can stimulate the blood flow and reduce pain and promote healing. Oh, sorry, and also it's well, as I mentioned before, it's good for inflammatory and cardiovascular conditions. Herbal actions. Now, with regards to herbal actions, we have different herbs that have different actions, and we categorize them as follows. Adaptogenic. So when something is called an adaptogen, it means that if you have low blood pressure and you take cayenne, it raises your blood pressure to the normal level. If your blood pressure is high and you take cayenne, it balances you. Okay, that's what an adaptogenic herb does. It helps the body to resist stresses of all kinds, physical, chemical, or biological, and it promotes overall resilience. Examples of an adaptogenic herb is ashwagandha, rhodiola, and ginger. Sorry, ginseng. I think I need some ginger. Examples there. Analgesic. relieves pain and discomfort. Willow bark, do we all know what willow bark is? Where do you get aspirin from? Willow bark. Turmeric and clove. Antibacterial, we all know what antibacterial is because a lot of us during lockdown, what were we doing with those alcohol-based antibiotic gels? We were bathing, some people were bathing in them. But what does that do? That dries the skin, it thins the tissue, and it's only good while it's wet. Once it's dried, it's no good. But if you use something like ozonated olive oil, or you use something like an oil that is antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, or antiviral, then you'll get the benefit of the protection afforded by it because it leaves a thin film or a microfilm film layer on the skin. So should anything come into contact with it, you're sorted. It kills or inhibits bacterial growth. These are antibacterials. Good examples, garlic, golden seal, thyme. Don't know why. Anti-inflammatory. So anti-inflammatory herbs reduce inflammation in tissues and it relieves pain and improves healing. Examples of those are turmeric, ginger, and frankincense, boswellia. All right? Antioxidant. We all need antioxidants. This is why we eat fruits, brightly colored fruits, apples, oranges, lemons, and pomegranates. Yeah, they all contain antioxidants. Okay, they protect the body from oxidative stress and free radical damage. Green tea, rosemary, and berries, such as bilberry. I would say all berries, okay? And another thing about berries is berries contain amino acids. Amino acids in the body are converted into protein. So if you're eating amino acids, they are the building blocks to protein. So some people say, I need protein, I need protein, I need protein. But if you're eating a good diet full of fruits and berries, you're going to be getting your body to make its own proteins and not getting it secondhand from dead 3D meat, dead, dying, and decay, or diseased 3D meat. Antivirals. So descriptions. They inhibit the growth of viruses. They denature them. And they also help to prevent viral infections. Do we all know elderberry? Do we all grow elderberry? We should be growing elderberry in our gardens. If there is one, sorry, sister, if there was one plant that you would suggest to people to grow for medicine or whatever, what would be the best plant that you would say? Elderberry. Thank you very much. Good. Elderberry would be the easiest one. You can take, if you saw an elderberry tree, you could break off the branch, and where you see the 2 nodes or 3 nodes, make sure you get it the right way up, and you just put it in the soil and cover it with a half-cut plastic bottle and leave it. It will start to grow roots. And then when you see those hundreds of little dots on it, those are nodes. They will start to spring leaves. I went to a garden center with my wife, and I went over to a tree and I said, that's an elderberry tree. And she was like, no. I was like, it's an elderberry tree. She says, no. She knew what I was going to do. I went over to the elderberry tree and I broke off the biggest limb that I could find and I put it in the boot of my car. And then I took it home and I stripped it down to about 3 or 4 pieces and I put them in the soil and then I left it. Now, all the sticks for the last 3 or 4 months, they've been producing leaves. So when time ready, I'm going to put that in the ground, in the garden, and then allow it to grow, okay? And I know it will grow, it will bear because it came from one that was already bearing. Astringent. Remember what I said about astringents? They make your mouth pucker, okay? Causes tissue to tighten. So if you have loose skin and you want to tighten the skin, make a tea of oak bark. Remember what oak bark was good for as well? Does anybody remember? Does anybody want to remind me? Gums, yes, gums is one. Spider veins? No? Varicose veins? No? Okay. I'll check you all later on. So this causes tissue to tighten and contract, often used to reduce bleeding and irritation. Witch hazel, very astringent. Raspberry leaf and oak bark. So if you collect raspberry leaves, make sure you collect them from a clean source, not near a roadside. Dry them, and then you can make a tea with them. Carminatives. So carminatives relieve gas, bloating in the digestive system. Fennel, peppermint, and ginger are good examples of them. Colagogu herbs, they stimulate the flow of bile from the liver. Even if you don't have what do you call it, a gallbladder, what happens is your body still releases the bile. The organ is the bile duct, but the body still produces bile, and the bile goes straight into your system. But you then have to watch your diet very carefully. Okay, but these herbs can still help. They aid the digestion and detoxification. Demulcents. Demulcents. We spoke about demulcents yesterday when we did the Breathe X, what do you call it? Cayenne pepper, fenugreek, and the mullein leaf combination. Remember we made the capsules yesterday? Mm. Okay, so demulcents and expectorants. So they soothe and protect irritated or inflamed mucous membranes. Good examples of demulcents, marshmallow root, slippery elm, and licorice root. Diaphoretic herbs promote sweating, and they help breaking fevers and eliminate toxins. Elderflower, yarrow, and ginger. I've highlighted yarrow because yarrow is those white flowers that look like umbrellas, okay? And when you're driving past, sometimes you can see them growing, and sometimes we ignore them. But just so you know, when you're driving past and you see them, chances are that it's yarrow. And ginger. My wife buys ginger, and sometimes I'll take the ginger and I'll just stick it in the soil. And then after a few weeks, big leaves start coming out from the ginger. And I've got a couple of ginger plants on my windowsill. I want to bring it with me to the center, but I forgot it. Diuretic. What does diuretic mean? Passing water. Exactly. Increases the production of urine, which can help in flushing out toxins and excess fluids. Dandelion leaf, parsley, and nettle. Not only are these all very rich in nutrients, and they're called nutritive herbs, but they're also very good in helping to regulate the system. So, Imena Gogu. So they actually stimulate the blood flow in the pelvic area and in the uterus, often used to promote menstrual flow. Mugwort is a good example, rue and parsley. So you can have those as teas or you can take them in capsules. Expectorants. Now we know what expectorants are because we went over that yesterday. Okay. Hepatic. Okay, so these support the health and the liver and the function of the liver. If anybody has had a coffee enema, I'm not going to ask who has, but what happens with a coffee enema is that the coffee goes into it, and it's a particular Wilson's coffee, if I remember quite rightly. It is the best coffee to use for that. But the caffeine goes into the rectum and in the fluid, and it bathes the hepatic portal vein, and it absorbs nutrients, and it helps the blood. It supports the blood. Okay, so the hepatic portal vein benefits from a coffee enema. So hepatic herbs support the health and the function of the liver. Milk thistle, dandelion, and burdock are very good examples of this. Hypotensive herbs lower blood pressure, and they support in heart health. Hawthorn, does everybody know hawthorn? Yeah. Right, so you know you can make a jam from hawthorn, you can make the tea from hawthorn, and garlic and hibiscus. We don't use garlic on broken skin because we know what happens with garlic. If garlic gets into the bloodstream, it can kill you, okay? Hibiscus. So hibiscus is a beautiful flower. We saw that as an edible herb, as an edible flower, and we know that we can make that as a tea. Immunomodulator. So these balance them and modulate the immune system to provide a good response to infections and stress. Astragalus, reishi mushroom, and echinacea are good examples of immunomodulators. Laxatives promote bowel movements and relieve constipation. We spoke about bowel movement yesterday, and we spoke about some other herbs that can be used to do that. Here, senna, aloe vera, cascara sagrada. But we spoke about prune juice, apple juice, and water as a drink to use it. And a salt water flush. Oh, yes, also, yes. The thing about it is these sisters, I was looking over their stock that they were offering for sale yesterday, and they have some teas, pine teas, and they're still there. What happened to you guys? Pine, they are rich in you see these evergreens, they release oils in the atmosphere. If this is a health retreat, and I said to myself, whoever built this place, they were thinking correctly, because when you go for a retreat and you go away from all the city and you're just surrounded by greens, it's the pines and the evergreens and the ferns that you're walking among that produce ions that support your body. And when you pinch the leaves of those and you drink the tea, it is rich in vitamin C, the most natural, untouched source of vitamin C. And I said to my wife, I don't know why they're still there. Maybe you guys don't know, but you need to get to know. And by the time I go there Sabbath afternoon, I shouldn't see any of those herbs that are there. I'm not trying to promote them, but you've got access to them. When you go home, you can keep them dried for eons and then use them when you've got a cold or you're feeling stressed. And the smell alone, aromatic. Oh my goodness. Question, sister. Oh, yes, and you can reuse the free bags over and over and over.
I just want to visit, because you say when we are walking outside and we can, is it the oil? Are you talking about the oil? Are you talking about the vapor?
The vapor, yes, the vapor from the oils, yes. Because if you, with pine trees, okay, when you touch them, they smell fresh, okay? Those oils are aromatic oils, and the plants themselves create an environment that is conducive to health, the smell, and they clean the atmosphere. So when you're walking among the pine trees, you're just being bathed in the chemicals that are being released from them. I know. So in the summertime, well, you have to breathe, and your skin that is exposed, resins or microbe, I suppose, small deposits of the oil that's in the atmosphere that are floating around will attach to you. But the fact is that sometimes you just have to pull off the weave and enjoy and bathe. We cover ourselves. When you walk on the ground, you are earthing. You are in contact with God's earth. All the stress, when you go on holiday and you lie on the beach, you're dribbling, you're drooling, you feel tired because your body is earthed. It's released all of its positive energy into the ground, and you're balanced. And when you're wearing shoes, the shoes insulate you. They stop you from, what happens? How do plants survive? Where are their roots? So where do they get the electricity from? We are electrical beings. Okay. So, and it's exactly. And you can use a plain oil, and you can steep the pine leaves in the oil, and then they will release their resins and their properties into the oil, and then you can use it as a wipe, or you can use it as a hand cream sanitizer, and as well as drinking it. So you've got all of the benefits from the pine. Yes, definitely, yeah, because you have to look at you do have to look and see which pines are edible, but the ones that are being sold there, they are edible. Okay. Definitely. And there was also something else that you had there that I mentioned to you, apart from the pines. The charcoal. Yeah, the charcoal and the aloe vera creams. Okay, so those are for your first aid kits. They should be there. Brother.
Just wondering with garlic, is it a good idea to swallow a clove and let the body deal with it?
You always know, because if you swallow the garlic whole,
Clove, yeah.
the clove of garlic, yeah. If you swallow it whole, then you haven't broken it open and you haven't allowed the allicin. Chances are, if you swallow it, oh, hi, you're still there? What happened? No, come back? No. Good night. You're gonna pass it out. So it's not gonna break it down sufficiently. No, it probably will draw out what it can, but the chances are, if your digestive system is working properly, it will just go through your digestive tract like corn and come out. So you need to break it open so that those compounds and those properties are released. And then you use, and if you're going to use it, you never use garlic straight on the skin. You always put like a barrier oil so that it slowly is released into the skin, okay? Because it can burn, it's sulfur, so it will burn. So you use something to slow down that absorption process, which won't allow it to burn.
Good recipe for raw garlic sauce.
Raw garlic sauce.
Yeah.
So blend it up.
And it's nice.
Put what in with it?
Yeast flakes.
Yeast flakes, garlic, blended.
Lemon.
Lemon.
Squeeze a lemon. The base would be cashew nuts or.
Oh, a cashew nut base.
Sunflower seeds.
Cashew
And then
cashew
you've got
nut.
some tahini paste.
Oh, right, okay, yes. So tahini paste, garlic,
And it's lovely.
sunflower.
So you get your raw garlic
Mm-hmm.
and you can smile while you're eating it. Yeah.
Definitely. And your body will thank you for it. Okay. So laxatives. I think we spoke about laxatives. Vulnerary. They promote wound healing. The mixture that we made last night, which I added the DMSO to, that can be seen. That is multifaceted though, but that can be used as a vulnerary because it promotes healing and repair to tissue. So if you have like open wounds, then you can cover that completely over, and then that will help the wound to regenerate its tissue a lot faster than normal. So examples of those are calendula, comfrey, and gotu-kola. Okay. Okay. No, not Coca-Cola. You want to clean your bathroom, or you want to clean your windows? Yes.
The gotu-kola you can even the leaves. It's fine.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, you
I
can.
have grown that.
My sister is saying that you can eat the leaves from the gotu-kola. Yeah. Okay. The body has 13 systems, and I'm gonna go through them, but I'm gonna go through them quickly. But I'm not going to. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna go through them and just highlight the key points. The 13 body systems. In terms of time, my brother.
11.
What time is it now? Oh, 11 minutes.
10:42.
10:42. Right. Okay. So we're going to go through the 13 body systems, and then I'm going to go through some issues of water and why. Digestive system. You might want to make a note of the 13 body systems. As a matter of fact, quickly tell me how. Name all the body systems for me. Nervous system, digestive system, respiratory system. Anybody else? Skeletal system, lymphatic systems. 5. Integumentary, urinary, endocrine system. Okay, so we've got a good idea. So none of this is going to be alien to you. Digestive system, common herbs for it and their actions. Peppermint, cool and drying, relieves digestion. Ginger, hot, drying. Chamomile, warm and moist. The reason why I'm mentioning these is because if you are hot, you want cool. If you are cold, you want warm. So when you look at it with a view to yourself. So if you're always hot and sweating, you see digestive, oh, I should be eating, oh, chamomile is warm and moist. So I'm always cold and dry. Yes, chamomile is good for me. It calms the digestive system, reduces bloating, and is antispasmodic. That's the digestive system. The integumentary system, common herbs and their actions. Calendula, warm and moist, soothes irritated skin. Sage, cool and drying, astringent, microbial, and reduces excessive sweating. Aloe vera, cool and moist, actions, hydrates, soothes, burns, and promotes skin regeneration, and it's also anti-inflammatory. Your skeletal system, Common herbs and their actions. Horsetail, not the actual horse, so don't terrorize the farmers' animals. Horsetail is cool and drying. It provides silica for bone strength and supports joint health. Some people say, oh, we need calcium, we need calcium, we need calcium for the bones. No, you need a whole lot for the bones, not just calcium. Okay, calcium is just one of them. The body is deficient, it will draw calcium from the bones. If you continue to be deficient, then you will end up with arthritis, or you will end up with osteoarthritis and other bone, and you will end up with other bone issue diseases. So it provides silica for bone strength and supports joint health. Nettle, skeletal system, warm and drying. It supports the calcium absorption and strengthens the bone. Nettle. Comfrey, cool and moist, promotes bone healing and tissue regeneration, reduces swelling, and is anti-inflammatory. Muscular system. Okay. Common herbs and their actions. Ginger, warm and drying, reduces muscle pain, improves circulation. Turmeric, warm and moist, relieves muscle inflammation, and is an antioxidant. Arnica is a cool, drying herb. It reduces bruising, muscle soreness, and is anti-inflammatory. The nervous system. Common herbs. Lemon balm, cool and moist, calms the mind, reduces stress, supports sleep. Lavender, cool and drying, reduces anxiety. Ashwagandha, moist and warm. It's an adaptogen, supports the nervous system. Endocrine system. Endocrine system, common herbs. Licorice root, cicanda berries, holy basil. They're warm and cooling, and they absorb, the holy basil absorbs or balances your cortisol levels, which should be high in the morning, low in the evening. Regulates hormone levels. Cicanda berry regulates hormonal levels and supports the liver. The actions for the licorice, it supports adrenal health and balances hormones. Cardiovascular system. Hawthorn, garlic, and motherwort. They're warm and cooling. I'm going to go for lymphatic system. Common herbs, calendula, cleavers, and red clover. Cleavers is the best one, I would say. Red clover is the second one. I would do a herbal mixture with both. Okay, because one detoxifies the lymph, reduces swelling. The other, red clover, improves lymphatic circulation, cleanses the blood, anti-inflammatory. So some of them you can double up on, okay? Respiratory system. Thyme, clears congestion. Mullein leaf, cool and moist, mucous membrane support. Peppermint, clears sinuses, antispasmodic. Digestive system, I've mentioned that one already, so we're not going to go over that one again. Urinary system, corn silk, soothes and irritated urinal passages. Uva ursi, cool and drying, antimicrobial and astringent. Dandelion leaf, diuretic, detoxifies the system. And reproductive system, red raspberry leaf. If you're pregnant, this is a good herb to have throughout. It tones the uterine muscles and supports menstrual health. Dong Quai, warm and moist, nourishes your blood, supports hormone balance. Vitex cactus, we saw the plant and we saw the little black berries. They balance the hormone and you can use them without stopping. And they support menstrual cycle. The immune system. Echinacea, elderberry, astragalus. They boost the immune system, they reduce colds, and they strengthen the immune resilience, and they're adaptogen. Circulatory system, common herbs, cayenne, rosemary, and yarrow. Okay, so they stimulate circulation, they improve and enhance memory, and they also help with the blood flow. Okay, so we went through the 8 plants. I did a description of why I believe the plants are follow the 8 laws of health. We did that the day before yesterday. Your diagnosis is not your destiny. Genes load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. If the pharmacy provided by your Heavenly Father contains every mineral, property, and chemical needed to sustain you in the form of wholesome herbs, plant products, we would be wise to make good use of it and bathe in the blessings of nature's healing remedies. Ellen G. White states that pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness, rest, exercise, proper diet, and the use of water, trust in the divine. These are the true remedies. Every person should have a knowledge of nature's remedies, remedial agencies, and how to apply them. So we should embrace these God-given remedies and live in harmony with the principles of health, trusting in his infinite care and wisdom. Okay, one question, sister?
Number 6 and number 9, please.
And number 8, please.
Okay, so 8 and oh, sorry, let me go back to 8. I'm going backwards in numbers. 8, 6, hold on, oops, 6 and 2, 9. Oh, 9 and 2. Right, with my last sorry, question. No. Let me just finish this and then whatever. Okay, the reason why I emphasize distilled water, there is lots, sorry, time. Am I out? Oh, so I'm done. Oh,
10 minutes.
I've got 10 minutes. Right, so this is going to be hard and fast. So either get the recording or take shorthand. The reason why I emphasize distilled water is because I always hear people arguing about the quality of distilled water. I hear people talking about the Jupiter machine, water machine. I hear people talking about Kangen water. I hear people talking about what do you call it? Alkaline water and different types of structuring water type thing. Personally, the first type of water that I knew about was the dew in the Garden of Eden, where the gardens never saw rain, but the waters sprung up and the dew watered the ground. The dew watered the ground. So that means to me that there was enough solvent and enough properties for that dew to actually support life. What is dew? Dew is H2O. It's pure water, nothing in it. Your tap water is government wine, as we call it. It's a drink, okay? I use a distiller and I make distilled water. I don't always drink it, and sometimes I do drink tap water, sometimes I drink bottled water, but 9 times out of 10, I will get my water from fruits. Nature provides bottled water for you. How? Who knows what a watermelon is?
Yeah.
Bottled water. Who knows what a cucumber is? Bottled water. What is a celery? Ice water. Solid water. You crunch it, you get fiber, you get water. Most of your fruits and your berries, water. You burst into an orange, the orange spits back at you. It gives out the oils, but when you eat the juice, it's water. Nature provides for you, and we use what mankind has provided for us, which is good for emergencies, but let me show you something. What is distilled water compared to tap water? Right, so distilled water is water that has undergone a purification process, and it's called distillation. The process involves boiling water, it produces steam and then condenses it back into a liquid. So, in comparison to tap water, which contains things like minerals, calcium, magnesium, hard water deposits, chlorine, chloramine, which is used for disinfection of the water, and potential contaminants like lead, pesticides, microorganisms, female hormones, because when females finish with their waste products, they put it in the bathroom, in the water. Those hormones cannot be taken out of the water at the sewage plants. So the government allows at least a certain percentage of waste in your tap water. Okay. What is the power, or sorry, distilled water is pure water, free from substances. So all of those substances that I mentioned, there are lots of others, because I haven't catered for the dead rats that get drowned in the water, that I haven't counted for the waste materials that companies empty into the water. When you get your tap water is actually, if you see this first, this is kind of clear, correct? Yep, if you're sleeping, wake up, because I'm not going to repeat this. I've been repeating it all week in my chalet, and I'm kind of like gone to, when you repeat something over and over and over again, you forget it. But this is what your semi-clear water looks like. But your tap water has this residue in the bottom of it. Okay? So what your tap water actually looks like is that, until they use the chlorine and the chloramine to disinfect it, and they use the calcium and the magnesium and other agents to make the water transparent and clear. And even if you're drinking bottled water, that bottled water has been sitting in a storage facility for how many months? Then your shopkeeper comes and buys it and puts it in his shop for another few months. Then you come along on a hot summer's day and you buy the bottle in the fridge, sweating and cold, looking nice and refreshing, and then you drink it. But that water has been pulling all of the elements from the plastic into it, and then you drink it and become a toxic carrier. Okay. When this goes into your, this water that I'm talking about, this is from about 5 or 10 liters of bottled water. So when I distill it, the residue is this. You can't pick this up. So if I try to pick it up, it's like smoke. Have you ever tried to pick up smoke? You can't pick up smoke. That's this. But when this gets into your tissue, it stays in your tissue and it becomes hardened. So this is actual hard water with different chemicals in it. This has all of what I've mentioned and then some. Distilled water is just H2O, okay? The power of distilled water. Purity provides unique advantages. Pure taste. Some people don't like the taste of distilled water. No, don't taste good. That's because you're used to government wine, okay? It's a neutral pH. Brother. Oh, 2 minutes.
No.
Oh.
We buy the machine, the distiller.
Yeah.
Which water do you use to?
If you put tap water in, I said to my wife, listen, if they ever have a water strike, I'm going down to Finsbury Park and I'm taking a bucket of Finsbury Park pond water and I'm taking that pond water home and I'm putting it in my distiller, because I know that in the distiller, the female hormones, the chemicals, the dead rat, the unwashed clothes, the old trainers, the old bike, all of that rubbish that's inside there, when the distillation takes place, God's distillation process is pure. Those contaminants cannot go up within the distillation process. So when I go and I check my water, I use something called, a total dissolved solid. I don't think I bought it. No. I did. Okay. Does anybody? So this machine is called a TDS machine. Okay. So when you have a TDS machine like this, what you'll do is you'll take tap water, you'll put this in the tap water, and then you'll press the button, and then it will come up with some numbers. It will come up with some numbers on there. When you test tap water, okay, that will tell you how many total dissolved solids are in your water. In general, there's about between 600 and 1,000 points or ppm, parts per million of total dissolved solids. You don't know what they are. However, when you test distilled water, 0.00. Worst case scenario, 0.01. If you test snow, 0.02. If you test rain, 0.02 or 0.3. Why? Because we're so toxic now that when the rain falls, the rainwater picks up. Because remember, rainwater is distilled water. Distilled water is hungry water. Hungry water is empty water, but it's neutral, but it pulls things into it. So when you're making your herbal tea with your distilled water, what is the distilled water going to automatically do to your herbs? Pull out all of the goodness or nutrients. You look at me with blank faces. I'm thinking to myself, I think I've lost. Have I lost you? No. You understand exactly what I'm saying? Okay. So if you want to test your distilled water, you've got a pH tester. And you can just put the pH. These are cheap. You can buy these on Amazon. And you can just test the pH of the water. the water will be neutral. There's nothing wrong with drinking neutral. Some people, and I know that some people are thinking, but where am I going to get my minerals from? Okay, but do you drink water to get your minerals? What do you do to get your minerals? So what is the use of your Heavenly Father providing everything in nature, which has all of the medicinals, the nutritives, and the vitamins and the minerals in the foods, if you're going to say, oh, I need to drink tap water because I need my minerals. No, you don't drink tap water for minerals. You drink tap water as a lubricant for your system. Now, if you do have the argument that, oh, well, it's gonna take away all of my minerals or all of my nutrients. If this hasn't been absorbed by the body, how are you going to get it out? What are cataracts? What are gallstones? They are solids that have been accepted but not assimilated in the system. Distilled water, if distilled water is a solvent that breaks down and eats up everything and then comes and passes out, what you're actually passing out is good quality mineral water. Because you're taking all of the when I say good quality, I mean, I'm being sarcastic, because all of the inorganic minerals that haven't been absorbed or couldn't be absorbed is now being passed out because the distilled water is pulling it, breaking it down and getting rid of it out of the system. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Chris?
Since if I don't have my shit, but there is a method boiling water and it works and help.
There are ways to do this distilled water in an emergency, i.e. if you're in, say, outside here and you can build a fire and you can get water, and then you can put a sheet, not a sheet, some sort of a glass element over the water at an angle with a bowl at the bottom. As the water boils and distills, the steam will hit the actual glass and run down into the cup or bowl or whatever. But if it's a case where you want to buy something, a distiller, the distillation machine is the easiest way to actually do that. But there are ways of doing it outside of the commercial way. Yes, because in the distiller machine, you mean using charcoal to take out? Okay. Yes. Yes.
And you are somewhere where you want it, like when we live in Africa, you boil
Yeah.
water. But if you want to destilate the water, can I use charcoal?
You can use charcoal, because charcoal, if you're running the water through charcoal, the charcoal will take out many of the you call it contaminants, not everything. But then also, from what I understand, is that if you can use I think what it was moringa seeds,
Yeah.
and you put the moringa seeds in the water and then they absorb it, but you're not going to eat the moringa seeds afterwards. Okay, you're going to either throw them away or you're going to throw them in the ground to grow.
I like your reasoning, in regard to the distilled water, because even myself, I drink for the past 5 years now, distilled water.
Yes.
But I've heard loads of tons against it, and I've never understood why that's so, but I like your reason about it. For example, it gives a balanced view on both sides, right? But what are your thoughts on the Berkeley water, the filters that they have now?
I don't know the Berkeley water because
It's like a gravity system where you put like some water in like a, well, it's not a distiller, it's like it comes with two carbon
Reverse osmosis.
no, not that one actually. They come with, it's like it's okay.
no. Okay, so like with the Kanja machine,
Yeah.
it filters the water, it screens the water.
Yeah.
And then what you get alkaline water.
Yeah.
Okay, out. But when my mum was ill, she had a Kanja machine, and you get the acid water, which is very astringent. You can clean things with it because it's acid water. But then on the other side, it gives you the tap water. I mean, not tap water, but the drinking water, and it's a lot softer. You mentioned reverse osmosis water, which is a lot softer. I have fish and I use reverse osmosis water for my angel fish. Okay, yeah, because at the end of the day you can't drink it, but it's soft water. It's not neutral. So distilled water is, I mean, for me, distilled water is a go-to water, especially if you're sick, because it's very good, and also you can use it as a wash. Okay. So who uses distilled water and why? Pharmaceuticals use distilled water. They can't do anything without it because it's pure water. It's funny how they use it, but everybody else that's connected to them tells you you can't use it because it's not good. Some people will even tell you it takes 10 years off of your life. But those same people will go to the pub and have a Lambrisco, a shot of rum and a tequila slammer, and they will put those poisons in their system, but come into distilled water. Oh no, you can't drink distilled water because I don't understand the reckoning behind it. The cosmetic industry, they use it in their creams and their lotions and their beauty products. The beverage industry for brewing beer, making syrups and preparing premium teas to maintain consistency of taste and quality. I can stop right there, I think. For your computers and for your mobile phones, electronics manufacturing, pure water is essential for cleaning sensitive components without leaving mineral deposits. I don't want no residue. Sorry, 1 second, let me just get it again. I don't want to leave any deposits on my mobile phone circuit board, so I'm going to use distilled water to clean it. So if they're using it to clean, if you clean what these two windows with distilled water and tap water, I can guarantee you that this window here is going to be cleaned a lot easier and a lot clearer than the tap water. And when it gets cold outside and warm inside, and you look at the two windows, you're going to see this window is clear, and this window it's got that kind of scaly surface to it, a bit like in the shower when the water splashes and it's hard. If you're not using something to break down that calcium deposits, then all of a sudden that clear shower window becomes like an opaque, can't see you. So this is the benefit of drinking distilled water. So if these companies are using it, then additional benefits for distilled water. Household appliances, prevents mineral buildup in steam irons, humidifiers, coffee makers. It extends their lifespan. Face washing and kettles. It's gentle, it's not irritating for skin, making it ideal for skincare routine. Many people that have eczema and psoriasis, I think that if they swapped over to using distilled water or treated their tap water with a filter of some sort and use oats and chickweed and things in their bath, what did the kings and queens of old put? They didn't. I've never heard of them bathing in just pure water. They always goat's milk or this, that, and the other elements in the water because they knew that if they're going to rest in it and sit in it, they wanted to bathe their bodies in something that was going to support the system. Cleaning leaves no streaks or mineral residues on glass, mirrors, and delicate surfaces. Aquariums ensures a neutral starting point for balancing water chemistry in your fish tanks. So that means I'm looking after my fish better than I'm looking after myself because I'm ensuring that the fish have the perfect environment so that they can live, and also for medicinal uses. Provides a sterile solution for cleaning wounds or equipment. My conclusion is choosing distilled water for your herbal teas enhances the purity of the taste and the efficacy of your brews. Its versatility extends beyond tea preparations, making it a valuable tool in beauty, cleansing, and various industries. By understanding and harnessing the unique qualities of distilled water, you can elevate everyday practices and achieve better results across a range of applications. Water is life. And if you don't have water, it's an issue for many people. The quality, the frequency, and the amount is governed by all of you. So when you take your water and you drink your water, sip, chew your water, and drink your food. And your digestive system will love you for it. Boiling the water kills bacteria and some, but not viruses, I suppose, if they're in there. But it kills lots of microbes and stuff, but it still doesn't remove the solids. Some people say, yeah, but you boil it and it cleans it. But then boiling the water just cooks the chemicals that are already in it. Pharmaceuticals can do that for you if you take an aspirin every day. So, but you can reduce, All right, I asked the brother, I think it was you, wasn't it? I asked you about in Jamaica, I went to Jamaica and they had this, and I took my machine with me, and I bought this water from the company called Wata, spelled W-A-T-A, Wata. That's how we say water in Jamaica, and that's how we spell water. And I tested it, and you know what? The TDS, total dissolved solids, in that bottled drink water, guess how much it was? Take a wild guess, anybody? Apart from you guys. 300? Any takers on 300 less or more? 500s? Any? Okay. 2.
Oh.
2. It was the first time that I tested water that had such a low TDS. So I brought one back, I put it in my suitcase, and then when I came home, I was comparing it to all the other waters. And then when it snowed one day, me and my sons, we went out into the back garden when we was living in London, and we collected lots of snow, and then it melted, and we tested it, 3 parts per million. Okay. So personally, I would be quite happy to drink rainwater or tap water, given that it's so low. That's me personally. But at the end of the day, tap water in London, 676 up, total dissolved solids. Okay. So, brothers and sisters, Revelation 21:4 offers this hope. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying, nor shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
One question would be, what water do you cook with?
That you cook with? Oh man. Okay, so many of us don't have the kind of money for the pots that many people would suggest, the titanium pots. I know I'm coming to that, because certain pots, titanium pots, they maintain the quality and the consistency of the foods that you put in it. If you're using distilled water in your cooking, you will notice how much different your food tastes. It's night and day. Okay, does that answer your question? You can use spring water, and again, you will notice the difference. But if you're buying spring water, buy spring water in the glass bottle. I don't know if there's a big difference in the taste, but as often as you can, because at the end of the day, not everybody can afford to buy glass bottled water because the price is quite different. But you can structure your water. If you buy, the best thing is to buy a distiller. They're about, sometimes you can find them between £60 to £100, £99. But once you've got it, you can use it as often as, and you'll get your value. You'll definitely get the value of that part. You won't lose out on finances using one of them. Okay. Any other last questions? There's a few brands, but the ones that I normally for the home distiller, yeah, they have different types. They've got one which is like a 12-gallon machine, and I'm not sure, it's like a few £100. But they've got the small ones which do about 5 litres, and they do it overnight. I do mine overnight. It takes about 3 to 4 hours, and then they give you a glass container that the water leaches into, and then you can transfer that into bottles and put that into fridge. Don't transfer your distilled water into plastic bottles. In the US, they sell distilled water, which is really good, but it's in plastic bottles, and they've been sat there for a long time. What has the distilled water been doing to the plastic? Okay, so it does have its side effects. They've got the right mind, but the fact is, as soon as you buy that water, transfer it to a glass container and done. Okay. Oh, Mega Homes. Mega Homes distiller is the one that I had. They're very good quality. I had mine for about 2 years or so, and what happened was I put something inside the top. Don't cover the top of it, because that's the fan comes out, and I put something in there, and the fan plastic was spinning, and it broke, and I rang them up, and then they just replaced it. They just sent me a new head for free of charge. So I don't know if they do that for everybody or whatever, but I mean, I didn't tell them that I actually did that, so that was probably why, I think. But the fact is that they're very good. They're a very good company, and they're well known. There's another one called Pengwu, like penguin. So their logo is a penguin sitting on 3 blocks of ice. As in penguin, but Pengwu. I think that's the name. I'm not sure the spelling for it. But there are also some others. Yes, Elder?
I wanted to recommend Mega Home, we were using it more than 5 years.
Oh, good. Okay.
No problems at all.
Yeah. That's the same one I use, yeah. So there you have it. So someone else is using it. And one of my brethren from London, what he does is that when people are sick, distilled water is the best way to go. If you're dealing with cancer or you're dealing with dementia or anything, distilled water is the best way to go. Put your herbs in there, fill your bottles up. And if you're using distilled water with your fruits and your berries, you just slightly crush them, put them in the distilled water, and the distilled water will pull them out, and the taste is exquisite. It's really good. Okay. Last question.
I wanted to ask, for people who, let's say, they're in the country, yeah, and you put your well, and you put your bowl or a brook, like the lady was on a brook.
Yeah.
Was drinking water from the brook, and let's say it's clean.
Yeah, fresh water is, well, this is why I would say to use you call it, to have one of these as part of your first aid or part of your survival, because you do need batteries, okay? It takes the little round flat batteries, but the batteries I've had in this for about 5 years. I've had this for a lot, from the time that I bought it, I've not changed. As a matter of fact, it's more than 5 years. I've not changed the battery. So the battery has lasted me well over its time. So I think it's due. But yeah, and also it tests the temperature as well. So it's a temperature gauge. Okay. So that's a TDS machine. And then this one is called a pH machine, but it also tests the pH, and it also tests the caliper, what it does in the water. But the main thing I use it for is the pH. Sis?
Mine isn't about water, it's about how long you should be using the herbs for. You know, you mentioned it earlier.
Which herbs?
Just when you talked about how you've got a chronic disease, so let's say you've got cancer and you're using natural remedies. So should you be using your herbs 5 days?
Sorry, let me just hold you 1 second. I mentioned cancer and using herbs, or did I mention?
As an example.
Oh, right, don't use the example then. But
You said chronic disease.
chronic diseases, yeah.
Yeah, chronic.
So if you're doing a cancer program with someone, then I would assume that you're getting support in the actual protocol. Okay, and if you're doing it on your own, stimulating herbs you use for a period of time and then you stop, and you use similar herbs to continue. Because remember, I said to you that you can use free herbs and then they are free like herbs. And then when you cycle on and cycle off, you cycle off one, you use the other. You cycle off that after a few weeks and you use another. But then so that you're not using those stimulating herbs too much and overstimulating the system, you're swapping between your herbs.
Is it only the stimulating ones that are?
More than likely, yeah. The tonifying ones and the like ginseng, you can use those. You can't OD on those really because the body just gets rid of them. Vitamin C, you use those the camel or MSM or whatever until you have a bowel movement, and then you know you're saturated. In terms of herbs like diuretics, you'll use those until you've finished your cleansing process, and then you can use them intermittently once or twice a week, so that you're just helping the system. All the herbs that you're using are to support the system's natural process. So you're not trying to race away with the system to force it to do anything. It's a bit like with the fever. You don't force the fever. You can use herbs like ginger to help to break the fever, but you're not going to force it. And most people that use fevers for healing, they will guide or they will control the fever, because if you break the fever, the body raises the temperature to kill the weakest virus that what do you call it, or the strongest virus that's in the system, and it stays at that level. And 9 times out of 10, that's around about 102. Okay, and then the fever will subside once it's got rid of that, because that's the body's way of killing bacteria and viruses. It heats the body up and then it goes down, but we panic and we do things which breaks the fever, and then we end up harming the person. So we always work with the body. And if you're not sure, ask a practitioner or go to somebody and explain to them. One thing that people do as well is when you are explaining a condition to somebody, don't give them half information. because they will give you support based on what you have told them. You go away and you're like, but you've got other things which affect that condition and you haven't told them. Give them the whole picture or give them nothing at all. Okay? That way they can help you to help yourself. Because that's the worst thing that I find with people. They give a half a side, they present the nice side, but they don't tell you the dark side. Yeah? When you come to the cross, you don't say to God, "Oh, you know what, I've got these bad things, but this is the one I'm presenting to you." No, you say, take me, wash me, cleanse me, make me whiter than snow. Because you want that purity, you want that cleansing, you want that process to take you. So please remember that, all right? Okay. If you do have any other questions, because I do have other things I was going to go for, but if you do want any of these, I'm going to give this one to my elder for my room. So let me give that to him now. This is. And there was someone that asked about oils the other day. I'm going to give, as a matter of fact, you gave me a stick yesterday, a memory stick. Was it you that gave me a memory stick? To get something. Someone gave me a memory stick up. Most of the stuff that I've got here, I'm going to give to the elder on a Word document. Okay, because there's something on weeds and how weeds support the body, not the body, sorry, the grounds. So different weeds will tell you the condition of your soil. Okay, so understanding which weeds are showing will tell you what you need or what you can plant in that ground. Why your herbs don't work, we've kind of covered that, because either you're underusing or overusing, but you need to have a stimulating effect. So you don't want to overdo it. You might be using the incorrect dosage. You might even be using the wrong herbs. Do not try to expect immediate results, because if you're using the correct herb, but you're not using it for a length of time, 3 months minimum, then you're not going to see the results that you actually need. Okay, these are questions that I was going to ask you for your advice on, but we're out of time. And you don't complete the actual course of herbal remedies. Sometimes people go to the doctors, they give you a 5-day course, you take it for 3 days, you feel better, and you stop taking it. Why? You don't complete the course, the disease comes back. Herbal is exactly the same. Another thing is poor quality of the herbs. Sometimes you keep your herbs for long. If you're keeping your herbs for long, there's no problem. But if you use them, you can't use them in a small dose that you would have used if they were potent. So you can still use them, you just up the dosage, okay? And then you still monitor yourself to see the effects of the herbs. Underlying health conditions. If you have other underlying health conditions, that might be a reason why your herbs don't seem to work. Improper preparation of your administrative herbs. If you're not preparing your herbs properly, they're not going to work properly. Okay, we made up a mixture yesterday, and it was of the pure herbs. And if it's a case where the herbs were mixed with the correct supporting herbs, then it will work. But if you're using a hot herb on someone that's already hot, they might have, the condition might worsen. Okay, so you need to be careful of how you're using the herbs and the types of herbs. You can always Google and see what type of herb it is, and whether it's a hot herb or a cool herb or a moist herb. So always, and you can also seek advice. Most of you have got my details, so you can always email me. Okay. High blood pressure. Diabetes, thyroid, blood pressure, and thyroid. Sorry, high blood pressure, thyroid, hypothyroidism, and diabetes. And let me see, varicose veins. So there's a leaflet here. So if somebody wants to pick that up, they can do. And also the adaptogens and analgesics, the meaning of them, of the herbs. They're there. So if you want them, you can take those. Yeah, you can take. I don't know if there's a photocopy here. There is one. Do you have to pay for it?
You have to pay.
Okay. So yeah, so basically, if you want to, if you want to take them, you can take them. Thank you very much for your time, brothers and sisters. Because there was a sister that was before you, but I blanked her. Oh right.
I can PDF and send it.
Oh right, yes. If you can PDF it and send it to people, then yeah. So they're here. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much for your time and your attention, and thank you for your for your involvement and for making me feel comfortable speaking with you.
Thank you. I wish we had more time to go through what Brother Richard has gone through. Thank you. I think he will be back again tomorrow. If we can come on time so that we can benefit as much as possible with the presentation. Yeah, you have another health talk. So thank you everyone for taking part. It's time for the stalls now until 12 o'clock. And then we'll come back at 12 o'clock for the presentations, for another presentation. So we have a word of prayer. Our Father, our God, who art in heaven, Lord, we pause at this moment to thank you for the time that we have spent with Brother Gayle and his wife. We pray, Lord, that you continue to use him in a mighty way, Lord, that he continues to minister to your people. We pray that the Holy Spirit will continue to lead him with the wealth of knowledge that he has. I pray, Lord, that you'll continue to be with him and be with his whole family and guide them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.